Hey, welcome everyone to a new video. This is a PS1 Longbox collection. So I'm Jason from Trading Games, and this is my personal collection. I have about 112, I think, or 13 PS1 Longbox games. This is like the list. I've been going through evaluating the collection that I haven't even looked at for over like 15 years. So they've just kind of been in some tubs and boxes and moved around. And what seems to happen is that I bought a lot of these like this, even that long ago. And over the years, sometimes this glue pops on them. And as you can see, the residue, they weren't very much glue in them originally. And here's some ones I've already repaired right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the process of what I do to repair these. And this is a very delicate, risky process because you cannot get any glue on these black plastic cases. Glue like this Gorilla Glue. Because it can kind of make the plastic melty, kind of. I guess that's the way to describe it. But this is just a process for a personal collection, keeping it looking good, keeping these from getting snagged and tore, because they're nice sharp corners right now. And it only happens pretty much on these ones. So Gorilla Glue, Rosinol, this cleans the glue up off your fingers. I have Rosinol in here because I keep Q-tips submerged in it. In case I do get a little on the plastic, then I instantly wipe it off. And I also have the towel and the Rosinol. You can actually rub Rosinol, which is a lighter fluid in the liquid form. You can actually rub it on almost all of the surface and it will not take any color off this glossy type printed paper. Now you do have to be careful if there's a tear or anything like that, it could absorb into it. But it does dry pretty fast. Like, so see, this is some rub marks from over the years. The Rosinol could affect that a little bit. It won't hurt it. So you always want to do a test thing on an inconspicuous spot or an old junk game to see if it would hurt it at all. So I'm going to show you what I do and the process I use. Let me reach over here real quick. I actually paint the glue on. And I'm going to show you that whole process of like painting the glue onto the back of this cardboard boxes. And this is one of the processes that I use where I actually pull off this way. So it gets it back nice and coated. But it's not very thick. It's not thick enough where when I push it down, it will actually squeeze out. So as soon as I get it painted on, I actually tack it up to it and pull it back off. And that actually transfers a little glue to the plastic as well. And with that in mind, you basically give this a few minutes to kind of tack up and dry. And then that makes it a permanent bond once you press it. Now, if you do have any of the glue squeeze out, that's why I keep the Q-tips handy and the towel handy, because this part of the plastic right here, this matte finish, can sometimes melt a little bit. But so I did these and they came out really, really, really good. I know it's really hard to see in these pictures. All these boxes have some wear on them, you know what I mean? None of these are perfect. So, but just a disclaimer, always practice this on something that's not in part of your collection. And never do this to a game that you might possibly be submitting for for a grading service or something like that, because then it might get a restored designation. And like I said, this is not trying to fool anyone or pull anything on anyone. This just happens to these boxes, and this is just how I like to tackle it. So let me get this set up, and I'll show you, already 3 minutes into this dang video, what I'm doing here. All right, let me show you right from the scratch start here. So this is just an oversized magazine bag. And this is my Gorilla Glue contact adhesive. So what I do is I actually just spray it right on here till I have some glue. Now this stuff can be a little messy, so make sure where you're working, you don't have anything to worry about. But this is what you're going to end up with, is this glue like mess here. As you can see, I got a little splatter here and here. That's why you got to be careful. You don't want to contaminate anything, especially your hands. And that's where the Rosinol and keeping your fingers clean is important. Now, if you do get any of this glue on this, you can wipe it off almost instantly and it will not hurt it at all. You do want to try to keep it off the black plastic, which is worse to get it on than the actual art itself. But as you can see, here's a flap and I've cleaned this off. So now that I have my glue, I'm just going to kind of mix it up. I end up with just like a mess of it here on my paintbrush. All right, now that I've got two big globs, I can actually paint and pull the brush off the edges. I'm trying to get all the way to the very corner, but as you can see, I'm going out towards the edges. Now, I have no excess bubbles like this is on this cardboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to press it to the box. But I actually want it to come undone. All right, so you see how I kind of had this tack happening right here? So now what I've done is I've got a little glue transferred to the plastic as well. Not quite as much up to my liking as I would like. So very delicately, especially on these corners, I am going to paint just a touch more on. Now, the most important thing is, like I said, you don't touch any of the black part of the plastic that's showing. All right, now with this side tacking up, I'm going to give this about a minute or so. And I am going to start, oh, this side's really tight. So unfortunately, sometimes you have to pull it a little bit more to get some glue down there. All right, for the sake of the video, I'm going to make sure that I'm in frame here and get up, and I am, and I'll come closer. So you can see that tack that happened, the little webbing, and I want this to actually dry as much as possible. If you read on this, whenever you're bonding something together, spray it on and instantly attack it is for a temporary bond. And for a little more stronger bond, you can put it on one side only and wait a minute or two before it flashes dry and tack it down for a semi-permanent bond. But if you really want the best bond, you're supposed to put it on both surfaces and almost let it dry completely before you press it down. So I got my Q-tips handy, and so now I have a little bit of that webbing that has popped through here, and it is not touching the black plastic, but it's there and it's still wet. So I'm going to just try to, I'm not going to touch that. I'm pressing this down nice and firmly. So what I'm going to do, make sure I don't set that down in my, I'm going to put some Rosinol on this towel. And like I said, I practiced this where it won't actually hurt it. And I got this little spot, it's clean. And I'm going to rub that. And I got no color off. And Rosinol dries really fast. But now look at that, how nice that looks there. That came out like super duper good. All right, so that flap is glued down. So I'm going to do that all the way around this box. So let me kind of stop what I'm doing here. So like this wasn't perfect before it started. This is, none of these really are, but that came out really, really good. So it's going to make this one look a lot better for my collection, and it's going to be sitting on the shelf forever. So I just wanted to show everybody what I'm doing to get these things done. And, you know, if you unfortunately do get a little bit on the plastic, it might leave a little dull spot. That happens, you know. Like I said, I'm not trying to fool anybody here with my process. I just want to show people what I do. And if you're really paranoid, you could put some tape on there, but tape is probably more dangerous getting it on the artwork than it is keeping it off that if you have a very steady hand. So good luck. I hope this helps somebody. Bye.